What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Blerd Out podcast. One Piece 1161 has dropped a fire chapter. Honestly, this is one of my favorite chapters in a long time. And we've had a good string of fantastic chapters. Something about this chapter I just absolutely love. From beginning to end, this was a great time. So the episode today is pretty much just going to be talking about the chapter because I got a lot to say about it and I want to be able to hit all the points. So we're going to get right into it. Of course, if you have not caught the latest chapters or episodes, please know that there will be spoilers ahead.
Spoilers.
Okay, so let's start off with the color spread. Brand new, hot, heat, fire. This is also one of my favorite color spreads, of all time now. I think Sea Freak and Walk More Slowly are going to be my top two for eternity. This one is creeping in top 5. Just the amount of fun that's in this color spread, the amount of details that are in this color spread, so fantastic. The theme is that you have all the Straw Hats around this claw machine, a bunch of stuffed animals inside and stuff. So you have a bunch of the characters actually working to get some of the stuffed animals. But it's the details around us. You have the claw machine, and inside you have a bunch of stuffed animals. All the stuffed animals are important figures from the story that we've met so far, or that have been integral figures to some of the Straw Hat crew, from maybe even major characters to minor characters. For example, inside the claw machine, you see people like Dr. Kureha, you see Tom, you see Dr. Clover, you see Zeph, and then you see some of the Straw Hats who have their own prizes. They all are holding people that are important to them. So Nami has Vivi, Nojiko, Belmare, Harades, Genzo. And then you look at Luffy and he's got Shanks, Ace, Sabo, Makino, Dadan, Garp, Rayleigh, Whitebeard, Gaimon. And then you see some fluttering around, you see Kinemon, you see Yamato, you see Momosuke. You even see a little whoop slap in the background, which I really like. And then you have Carrot and you have Boa falling from him. You have Sanji in the background. He's even got some. He's got Pudding. He's got Perona. He's got Conus, Lilith, Kami, Violet. And he's throwing one of Buggy at Zoro, who Zoro is laying on a big Shirahoshi. And he also has a Mihawk next to him. Just really fantastic details all around. One of the other funny things is that you have Luffy and Nami fighting over a Chopper stuffed animal while the actual Chopper is stuck in the claw machine. And speaking of the claw machine, the detail around that is really good because you have the base image of the claw machine and then the Straw Hats around it trying to win prizes. And then you have these little snippets on the outside of the Straw Hats. And what it is it's what the characters are doing around the claw machine. So it's a zoomed in effect of what they're doing, but just in sections. So you see Robin in the front of the claw machine, kind of with her hands clasped together looking inside. And then you see the little cutout of Robin and you see her from the front, you see her face, you see her hands. And it's the same with Frankie. We see him in the background, counting something in his hand. And then his little cutout, we see he's counting coins. We see Usopp actually playing the slots, what she's doing. We see Brooke being the crane. It's just, there's so much cool stuff packed into this color spread. I absolutely love it. I really want someone to, because usually what they do with the color spreads is that someone will take them, they'll kind of go over them, give them a bit more saturation, kind of make the colors pop, take away some of the text, and just make them really cool wallpapers. So I'm waiting on that because I want to use this for stuff. This one's really cool. But let's get into the chapter. Like I said, we start off with fire and then it's just fire all the way through. So chapter 1161, a love ballad and a hail of arrows. Cover story, we're still in the pilgrimage. We have Yamato, what looks to be Kinemon and Momosuke, and they're praying at the Shrine of Heroes. Now, based on the shrine, there's a couple of different lanterns, one for each person. So we have Toki, we have Odin, we have Yasui, and then we have the 3 samurai that saved Yamato but eventually died. So we have Mizuki, Fuigetsu, Shimamatsuki, so the 3 samurai. We have Izo, we have Pedro, we have Ashura Doji. They all have their own lantern, and then Odin has the biggest lantern. And then you have these 2 praying in front of it. So a cool cover story. It doesn't seem like anything crazy is going on in the Flower Capital, which I kind of thought was gonna happen. So I'm not really sure where it's going from here. It keeps ramping up and then ramping down, and I can't tell where Oda is taking it. But let's get into the chapter. We start with the narrator with a panned out view of God Valley talking about how basically the island has become this inescapable point of absolute chaos. Just nightmares, a battlefield of epic proportions. All the celestial dragons have pretty much been herded into the center of town, and they have like an evacuation route that the Marines are saying, hey, you guys need to go down here, go ahead and get out of here. And as they're like guiding the celestial dragons out, of course the celestial dragons are like, but what about my prize? And the Marines like, we got that, we'll take responsibility. To which the celestial dragon's like, yeah, of course you will. You're taking responsibility for all of this. This is all y'all fault. And it's just like completely just ungrateful, as they always are. Even in a situation where they are very close to being killed, based on just the people that are out here, they're still acting crazy. And then we get a nice little like 3-cut shot of Roger, Rox, and Garp all kind of like on their own mission. You have Roger, he's here for Shaki. You have Rox, who's here for Eris and Teach, which are his wife and child. And then you have Garp, who's here for Roger. We then cut away to Dragon, and he's got Shamrock and Shanks. He's running, he's trying to get out of here. When suddenly one of the celestial dragons, Maffy, pulls up. And this is the one I was talking about that I really like the design for. She pulls up, and she spots Dragon running with the kids. And apparently they already knew that Dragon had the kids and he was dipping out because she got the report that some stranger had the 2 kids and was running. So she spots him, and then she shoots out like a beam out of her mouth. And honestly, this looks a lot like the Pacifista beam, which that technology I don't believe exists quite yet. Unless Vegapunk was doing like tests way back when, which I don't believe he was, or at least I don't know if there's mention of him doing tests this far back. And even so, that would have to mean she's genetically modified in some way, which we've got no indicator of as far as now goes. Either way, it looks like she's shooting a Pacifista beam or a Kizaru light beam from her mouth, which is dope. So she shoots that off, nails Dragon in the shoulder, he falls down. He ends up dropping the kids. Now he drops Shamrock off to the side, and then he kind of drops Shanks underneath him. Now Maffy, who's getting the report of like, okay, we got the kids, she apparently didn't get a report that they were twins. She just knew that Garling had a kid and that someone was stealing them. So when she picks up Shamrock, who fell off to the side, she's like, all right, I got him, we're good. Now we don't have a sign in on who's on the other side of the Din Din Mushi who's talking to Maffy right now. But we do get like the introduction to Maffy. She's part of the Satchel family, and she's huge, and she also has a sword. Like everything about her design is just fantastic. I love it. Now, whoever's on the other end of the call is like, yeah, Garland would have killed me if he figured out I lost his kid. I'm so glad you got him. And Maffy's kind of just like, man, I never really thought Garland had a kid in the first place. Now, as Maffy's going for the execution shot to take out Dragon, Dragon's like having an inner monologue about how basically this was his last chance to kind of redeem himself for being here and being a part of this whole incident. But he kind of resigns himself to it. He's like, man, I messed up. I couldn't stop anything. I couldn't save anyone. So this is probably what I deserve. But in that instance, a huge swing comes through, cleaves through Maffy, cleaves through the forest, wipes out everything in the area. Now, Maffy being a Gazanite, I think she has that regeneration factor because while she is bisected, she doesn't seem too affected by it. And it turns out that slash came from Whitebeard, which is crazy because I don't think we've really seen him do long distance attacks like that. Like long distance cutting attacks is not really something that Whitebeard does. He does a lot more like, especially because with the Quake Fruit, he does a lot more like brute force damage. So seeing him do like a wide sweeping cutting attack is kind of cool. But Big Mom's yelling at him like, I could have got caught in that. Like you gotta watch what you're doing. Whitebeard's just nonchalant like, man, I wasn't even aiming for you. And it's an interesting perspective because you have Whitebeard and Big Mom walking through the forest, and you have this tiny little dragon in the corner talking about how huge they are. And it like puts in perspective how the Rocks crew kind of looks, because you have a lot of people that are like Whitebeard size, Big Mom size, like they're huge pirates. So like to see them like up close, that has to be crazy. And even Shiki comes flying in like, you almost hit me too. So basically this attack from Whitebeard covered a lot of ground. And then we have Kaido running up to talking about this isn't what we agreed on, Linlin. And I think this is what the betrayal is going to be, because we know Kaido mentions that pirates betray pirates. That's just what they do. So this is probably whatever Kaido was talking about. We're seeing the seeds of it here, and eventually we're going to see what happens. But as they're all arguing, a bunch of like fodder pirates pull up and try to attack the Rocks pirates. To which we get this really fantastic panel of Whitebeard, Kaido, Big Mom, and Shiki taking out everybody around them. Like an absolutely epic panel. Because you have like Shiki, who's a lot smaller than the other three in front, and you know he's swiping one way. You have Big Mom, who's pretty much swiping the other way with Prometheus and people on fire. And then you have Kaido and Whitebeard, who are kind of like in the center. They've both done a swing in opposite directions. So you have like Whitebeard holding his Bazinto up, and then Kaido holding his Kanabo up, and they're crossing in the background. Like it's such a well set up panel. I absolutely love it. And what I really like about this chapter is that it fleshes out how these characters act as a crew. And I think this is something that we honestly miss from like the Straw Hats. It's just crew interaction. And like everybody here hates each other, but it's still the interaction. It's the talking back and forth. It's the personalities clashing that makes the Rocks feel so like lively. It feels good. And Matthew's just looking like, what on earth is going on? She still has Shamrock in her hand. And we come back over to Dragon, who is looking like, oh man, I dropped the kids. And then he notices that Shanks is still next to him. It looks like Shanks like hit his head because he's knocked out. He has a little knot in his head. At that same time, Garp pulls up. And Garp gets his hockeyed fist ready to just starts punching. To which everyone's like, yeah, we gotta get out of here. If we fight with Garp right now, it's gonna take forever. And like, this isn't necessarily anything new. We've seen that like, it's a pain to fight the Marines in any aspect, especially when you have Garp on the line. Like Garp is here in the flesh, which honestly, I'm like, if they wanted to, they would probably take out Garp. Like if Whitebeard, Big Mom, Kaido, and Shiki were like, hey, we're gonna fight Garp, I think they're gonna win. But this is hype for Garp nonetheless because he has no fear fighting these three. And even Kaido was like, why don't we go back and fight him? But they basically just don't want to waste that kind of time. And you have Dragon like, oh, Dad? Which makes me wonder if Dragon has really seen how crazy his dad can get. Because he seems pretty shocked right now. As they're running, Big Mom turns around and does like a Prometheus Zeus combined attack. Aims it directly at Garp, who pretty much eats it. And we get like a little side panel of Ivankov and Kuma noticing like the giant explosion from Big Mom's attack, but they kind of keep doing their own thing. And then we get another sick panel where Garp's like, man, this fire ain't nothing. This fire is weak. I can't even cook with this. And it's just such a crazy panel of like Garp standing in the fire. You got a hockey leaking off of him, looking like a straight demon. Like just, the paneling in this chapter is exquisite. Or as they're fighting, Maffey's talking back to whoever's on the transponder snail saying like, yeah, well, the kidnapper's probably dead at this point because everything that's going on. I got the kid. That's all we really need. And because of that, this allows Dragon to escape with Shanks in tow. And at this point, we cut over to what Roger is up to. Because he's pretty much blasting through trying to get to Shaki. We have Roger, and we have like the remnants of the Rocks pirates all trying to converge in one spot. Feels like Silver Axe, Shiki done made it over here. And you have Captain John, but something's interesting with Captain John. Oh, I guess I have like Gloriosa and others here. But with Captain John, it looks like he has a metal arm. And even a little bit further ahead when we see like the Rocks pirates fighting, he honestly looks like he's doing kid type moves. So I'm really wondering if Captain John had kid's fruit at this point in time. Because we've seen Captain John like just have normal arms. Like that's nothing new. The fact that he has like a metal arm right now, unless this is someone entirely different, this looks like Captain John, and I don't know why Oda would emphasize this one character as far as like with the rest of the Rocks pirates, unless it was someone important. So I think there's potential for Captain John to have had kid's fruit before him. Now, as they're making their way to Shaki, Summers actually gets there first. And when he gets to the prison area, he notices that Shaki basically took out all the Marines that were guarding her while chained up, which isn't surprising. I mean, she is the pirate captain of the Kuja pirates. We know she's strong, and some chains aren't going to stop her, especially because a lot of the Kuja pirate kind of combat is leg based. Now Summers walks up, starts talking crazy, and then slaps Shaki in the face. And he's just like, he's basically berating her for existing at this point. Now, when Shaki gets slapped, she tries to counter with a kick. Summers takes it, but it doesn't really look like it affects him too much. And he actually grabs her leg and then smashes her leg with one of his like barbed clubs. You know, it looks like a nasty hit. So Shaki drops to the ground, and then Summers starts going into like this syndrome level monologue. So Summers is like, man, if Garling's getting like all the good stuff and I'm getting nothing, how about we all get nothing? And essentially he's like, okay, I'm just gonna kill you here. Like, I'm gonna make some fun out of it so that I get some enjoyment since I can't win you. And as he's monologuing, you kind of see what's going on outside, which is that you have the Rocks pirates pulling up, you have Roger clashing with the Whitebeard, which considering they're after the same goal, I think this is more of like an on-site rivalry thing where when you see like your rival, y'all clash no matter what. That's just a given. It don't matter what we doing, if we on the same side, we clashing. And this actually keeps Roger from making it too Shaki because he's clashing with Whitebeard. Now because of that, Roger says, all right, I'm held up, I need y'all to take over. And we see Rayleigh just jump in the air, he's moving, he's heading in. Now cut back inside the prison area, Summers is still monologuing, talking about how we can hear everybody outside, trying to get to Shaki, trying to save her. And he's just like, yeah, they ain't gonna make it here. Anybody that does make it here, I'll take care of personally. And he just gets ready to just bludgeon Shaki. And essentially he wants her to bleed out. Like, he doesn't want to just straight up kill her. He wants her to suffer. And we've seen through different scenes with Summers that he is very sadistic. A lot of times he's just willing to hurt anybody that's around. Like, he's definitely willing to hurt children, which is crazy. But I mean, he's a celestial dragon, so I guess it's not that crazy. He's just like, yeah, I'm going to watch you bleed out and I'm going to enjoy it. And you're going to suffer. And as he's getting ready to do that, Rayleigh pulls up, Rescindent Hagen Crescent, smashes Summers through a wall, which is interesting. Very interesting, because it feels almost like a rocks attack, where it's not a cutting attack, it's almost like a blunt physical force attack. And it doesn't even look like there's hockey on it, because you really don't see any like the black lightning that we normally see. It looks a lot more just like a concussive force. And that doesn't strike me as a technique Rayleigh normally uses, but honestly, it seems more effective because you're getting Summers out of the area instead of just cutting him up when he can just reform. So Rayleigh launches him out of the way and then pulls up, cuts the chains, and he's like, all right, Shaki, I'm here for you. Sorry I'm late. Which we get this absolutely like just heart-wrenching but also adorable panel of Shaki just starting to tear up. And I think this is really nice of a panel because it shows kind of a more human side of Shaki, where she was always just like confident and boastful and just on top of her game all the time. And the same goes for Rayleigh, because they both kind of get this crying face where they're kind of breaking down a little bit, even as opposed to the panel where Rayleigh's like, I'm here for you. And then you see him crying in like the next panel. It's like they're both sharing a very vulnerable moment here, which is very nice. And you can see how they ended up together. So Rayleigh saves her. She falls into his arms. They're both crying, talking about how they'll never let it happen again. And you have Scopper and Roger in the background just being like, all right, we get it. You saved her. Let's get out of here. And everyone's just like, all right, grab treasure. We got Shaki. Let's bounce. And that is the end of the chapter. Like I said, I really enjoyed this chapter. I thought it was fantastic. I think the biggest thing for me that really made me like this chapter is just the crew interactions. Just seeing like Whitebeard and Big Mom, two of the strongest characters that have existed in the verse, just like having casual conversation, and then Garp pulls up and he is just menacing. Like all these, I love the idea of all these big names being in one place. It creates such fantastic interactions. And it just feels so One Piece. Like you got pirates here scrapping for treasure. That's the whole chapter. You got all these big names. You got all of these notable faces just swinging fists, hands, clubs, maces, whatever they got, just going out. And I love all these characters so much. Like, obviously, like I really like Whitebeard. I've always liked Whitebeard. Big Mom is also one of my favorites as far as like really notable characters. I know a lot of people have like mixed feelings about Big Mom. I like Big Mom. I think she could have been written better in some aspects. I really like Big Mom, especially like Prime Big Mom, Young Big Mom. I feel like she was just always about that action, always ready. And not to say that like current Big Mom isn't like that, but current Big Mom seems to have a lot more like, I don't know, like almost mental issues going on. Because this Big Mom has like no issues, no hunger pangs, none of that. She's just straight business. If this Big Mom was the one that's in current era, it would have been raps, I want to. It would have been raps. And there's like a lot of emphasis on Shiki as well, which is obvious because of how big he's been in the story, like even before like the Rocks Pirates type deal. And I mean, man, you couldn't ask for better moments. I would love to see more of the Celestial Dragons, notably Maffy, but I want to see more of them. I want to see more of like Garp's interactions with other characters. I want to see him interact with Whitebeard. I want to see him interact with Dragon, because obviously like Dragon knows he's here now. Like I want to see some Garp interaction. That's what I'm thirsting for next. But that is going to be the episode. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I will catch you in the next one. Peace.